And then everyone, my friends, would just come so destroyed, especially guys with like Eclipses or any Honda, and they were like, "I just lost your mom in a minivan," and I had to hug her.
She gave me a hug.
And
Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. I am Josh Henning.
I'm Phil Gerber.
I'm Jeremy Gerber.
Welcome back to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original, presented by Blade HQ. Just go to bladehq.com/oil and whiskey to shop their selection of knives. Today's guest is RJ Vera, SEMA's Vice President of Marketing. We also got a brand new edition of RoadsterShop Hall of Fame. RJ Vera is SEMA's Vice President of Marketing. RJ spent 30 years in the automotive industry. Early in his career, he worked on the Fast and the Furious movie franchise as a consultant and also as an actor. You'd probably remember him from that movie.
Absolutely.
Yep. He also served as a judge, host, and content strategist for MTV's Trick It Out. RJ helped popularize sport compact culture with his work as a contributing editor for Petersen Publishing's Super Street magazine and helped organize and promote the first National Import Racing Association's NIRA events. He has also helped judge the annual SEMA Show's Battle of the Builders since 2016. To learn more about SEMA at SEMA.org, or you can follow RJ on Instagram at RJ_DeVera. RJ DeVera, welcome to Oil and Whiskey.
thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's quite the colorful background you got, man. You're got a little bit of everything there.
A little bit of everything. True blue car enthusiast, like the three of you, and a little bit of a different path here and there. But yeah, it's still here, and I always say, it's in the blood. It never goes away, right?
Yeah, that is true. It's like a virus.
Yeah,
not curable.
Is that too soon? Is that too soon?
Yeah, maybe
dance around it.
So where did it all get started, you being into cars? Obviously, California born and raised, I assume, right?
I'm actually an immigrant. I moved from the Philippines in the early 80s.
Okay.
And then I have an older brother's friend introduced me into car culture when I was 14. And instantly fell in love and wanted to, buy parts for a car I didn't have. So I took a job at a copy service place calling doctor's offices to schedule our drivers to copy medical records for insurance. And then I would take that money and I would go to the want ads of this Southern California kind of a newspaper called The Recycler. It's kind of like the Craigslist way before Craigslist. And in the Recycler, you could buy aftermarket parts and stereo components and whatnot. So started to just buy parts for a car I thought I would get a few years later, and that's how it all started.
So what was that one car that got you hooked? What was the car that introduced you to the hobby?
A Honda Civic. So I definitely have a special place in my heart for Hondas. Have worked on quite a few of them through the years, but it was, if I remember correctly, an '89 Civic Si in this Tahitian green. So EF generation Civic on I'm a big wheel guy. So it had SSR super fins, and I think on my first car I went through 10 sets of wheels. So I feel like wheels are like shoes or like a good suit. They can definitely help make or break a car along with stance, right? So it was a very big part of me getting into it and being part of the culture and, just customizing and making a vehicle kind of more of my own. So.
Yeah, but you're throwing off the Honda Civic was what got me started. But I remember I was in that scene in that era. And I remember when you popped up, I think the first was the Integra, right?
Well, Jack, before you're blazing over, tell us a little bit about yourself in that era. Physically, what did you look like?
Well, like most people of that era, I had some dyed hair of a different color and some bright clothing and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to paint the whole picture.
He knows that vibe of 90, 94, 95, 96.
So is industry wide people were dyeing their eyebrows to match their car, or was that just kind of you?
I'm sure there was a few others. You didn't see it a lot. I definitely was pioneering that movement. But you popped on the scene, and it's, you got an Integra, and then very shortly after that, you're like in your early 20s, I think, with a NSX, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, so you're like telling, oh, Civic got me started,
It's
and
a
then
big
like a
step
year
up.
and a half down the road, I've got a supercar. I mean,
All right, take us from A to B on that. How do you transition?
Yeah. So I didn't get the Civic. I had saved up all this money to, for my 16th birthday to buy like a 89, 91 Civic. And then my mother sold my brother's car. He had a Isuzu Impulse, but he wanted to be a DJ. So she sold his car, gave him the station wagon, and then she was kind enough to lease me a new Integra, which I was super shocked by, which I then started modifying right away.
perfect for a lease.
Yeah, perfect for a lease, exactly. And then my mother, God bless her, she was like, "Son, it's a new car. Why are you replacing parts that are new?" And so I was like, "Well, I'm going to sell these parts, Mom." So I started selling aftermarket parts from our condo in high school. And then the NSX story was, I got to college, I went to engineering school, and I was at that point a partner in a shop that was building Honda race engines, DPR Racing, and I was selling a lot of the hard parts that would go with the engines. But that meant I was always at the shop and never at school, which I almost failed out of engineering school at UCLA, which my mom just about lost her, mind. So she said, I don't care how much money you're making. You're going to close your part of the shop down. You're going to get a degree, whether, regardless of if it's in basket weaving or not. So I had all this money from all the stuff that I had done business wise. And I was like, what do you want me to do to this money? She's like, one, you're going to pay for school from now on, Mr. Cool Guy. And then two, it's your money. So I sold the Integra, and it was just enough to get an NSX. I had to wait about 6 or 7 months to get one at the right price, which back then was like super cheap compared to now. So that's how I ended up with the NSX. About 4 years later, I think I was like 21 or 22 or something.
Damn.
That's
cool.
That's big time in it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Dude, me and Phil
it was every dime that I
have
had.
an NSX.
Yeah, Phil and Jeremy both, they've got an NSX right now.
We inherited one. My dad actually bought one brand new in 91 and put like 200,000 miles on
the
it.
highest mileage NSX in history.
So he daily drove it year round. It was his only car.
Awesome.
So in Chicago, obviously it snows like crazy.
Yeah.
So my early memories are me and Phil pushing it out of the driveway while he's just got that thing just banging off the rev limiter.
That thing needs
showering
to be
us in snow before school.
fully redone. It needs a full restoration.
Yeah, I talked to a dude out in California. It's sitting in the lawn at my mom's house. It's been outside for like 8 years. It literally just looks like the yard has overtaken it.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a new style resto mod for you guys to do.
Yeah, it's gonna make a comeback.
The barn find NSX.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're selling for, I think, you can't get one any lower than like 80 grand now.
You could get this one lower than 80 grand.
So I sold mine. I got up to like 250,000 miles on mine. So I drove mines every day for a good close to 8 years or 10 years. And I think I had it for 12 years total. And by the time I sold it in the lows of when that car wasn't worth much. And now I'm like, should have kept it. Should have just done a full rebuild on it. But oh well.
Those things are getting crazy. You see them.
Yes.
You said you talked to a guy out there that specializes in that.
You connected me.
Yeah.
With somebody who connected me with somebody.
Yeah.
Who's an NSX guy. I forgot.
Mike Robledo was the one that referred a guy for restoring that.
So I've got a bad habit of just saving people in my phone as like what the topic is with dude. So he's NSX dude in my phone. I forgot what the name of his company is. Shame on me. But yeah, we're gonna send the car out there. That's next California run that we do.
That'll be a cool one. So where did it go from there? So you finished school and made your mom happy?
Yeah, I did. It took me a while. I ended up becoming an editor for Super Street magazine right around that time, and paid my way through the rest of college being an editor. Which there's so many people in the industry where everyone went to the school of Petersen, right? Or Prime Media, I guess, was the or McMullen Argus was the other, the other group. So working at Petersen, I really built a great network of contacts across the country and even across the world in certain, going to Tokyo Auto Salon and a few other shows in Europe, like SEMA Show and whatnot. So I did that for a while, and then when I was at Petersen, I was working at NIRA, which is that import drag racing series. And Craig Lieberman, who was my boss at the time, somehow Universal Studios found him, and he became a consultant on this movie called Red Line. I became a consultant on it, helped choose the cars and the parts for certain cars for the different characters, and that movie, of course, was renamed The Fast and the Furious, and that kind of became my calling card for that next stage of the career after being a magazine editor and just being a consultant, within the space. And doing things for lots of different brands, whether it was product development. I did some stuff for American Racing, helped them create their Motegi wheel line, which is an import line. Then had my own line of wheels with them, and then I just started building cars for different brands to tour around or to give away as a sweepstakes prize, and kind of played in all fields of business, but all related to cars. So everything from that TV show that you mentioned, MTV, Trick It Out, and then some product development with wheels and other things, and then became an ambassador and kind of a car customizer for. I think Valvoline was a client for 7 years, Pepsi for 5 years. Was a Michelin BF Goodrich ambassador for like 10 years. And I was kind of all over the map as a consultant for about 10 years. A lot in Japan too, helping some Japanese companies come to the US. And that was just kind of the life, had a lot of fun, worked on a lot of cars. And then I ended up at Meguiar's, actually, consulted for them, and then took a full-time job there for about 12 years. And then finally kind of, knew a lot of people here at SEMA, but then when this role became available, a good friend reached out and said, "Hey, would you be interested?" And at that time I was like, no, I'm good. And then I kind of just threw my resume in and kind of talked to everyone here and felt like it was the right next transition. So after 12 years working at Meguiar's, I made the move here 6 months ago to the association. So it feels like a homecoming, because this year will be my 25th SEMA show in a row. But it's the first time on this side of the fence, so I'm pretty excited.
So what's your duties for SEMA now? You said you've been in it 6 months. So what that had to be a little bit of a daunting task, marketing for something like that you've known and been around for so long,
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first 3 or 4 months was just to come in and really audit. Of course, keep flying the plane, and then starting to make plans on how to continue to add and build the plane. So right now, of course, we're very focused on the two shows, but initially, we want to evolve as an association and as a marketing team to be more digital first, and to kind of embrace all the things that are coming at us, from a marketing perspective, from a technology perspective. And so a lot of my first months was really just kind of digging in and understanding my team and, where the opportunities were, which meant a couple presentations to the board, of course, of kind of this vision. And now I've got a little bit more clarity of what plane I have to fly this year and the adjustments that I'll be looking to make, to just kind of evolve us, right? But that's just the marketing side. There's so many legs to SEMA, as you guys know, whether it's the membership stuff or the research stuff, or the SEMA garage stuff. And so, my role kind of touches a lot of those different arms of SEMA, and it's really just to help promote it. So we've got a lot of room to just kind of change and evolve, especially from the digital perspective. And one of the things that's really top of mind for me is just to tell better stories, right, at the end of the day, and to really highlight our membership base and hopefully provide stories that'll help them, and really expose a lot of underrepresented sides of the industry. As you guys know, there's many different sides, and a lot of times some sides don't get the opportunity to get their story told. So I think it's kind of part of my role to kind of help push that forward, along with the normal marketing things that we do, right? Whether we're promoting an educational session, a webinar, some new research data that our team has published, things of that nature. And of course, get people to the show, right? Get people excited about the show, to exhibit at the show, to attend the show, to talk about the show, whether that's PRI or SEMA. As we come out of, 2020 and last year, and then kind of what's kind of our new normal, right? Or what will be our new normal.
What differences do you see in the youth of today and their interests and their level of enthusiasm or their varying interest? Thinking back about, you at that age. I mean, as we're getting older now, you sit and reminisce about the good old days of the late 90s and early 2000s. And that, like I said, I was heavy in that scene, and that I don't think something like that has been
Sure.
replicated since. I mean,
No.
it was a crazy, crazy world that
Yeah.
SEMA's been awesome every single year. But that back then, I mean,
That was
I've told
nuts,
this
man.
story before. I've had wheel companies at that point. I mean, I had wheel sponsor on both sides. I had one company, Axis Wheels on one side and Koenig Wheels on the other side, and they were cool with that.
Okay.
Two competing companies,
Yeah.
and they're like, "That's fine. We get the driver's side, we'll get the passenger side." I mean, flying you out to SEMA, shipping the cars. Hot August, Hot Import Nights was absolutely like
Bananas
ridiculous
at
of
the
a show.
time.
And
Yeah.
everybody was kind of into that, but I don't. You had the companies that were smart enough to be making
Yeah.
money, but the enthusiasts were in it just to have fun and to do it. What differences do you see now with today's
Sure.
youth and all of the different things they're into?
You're talking about the youth, and I'm listening to him talk about all the parts that he bought for the car he didn't have
Yeah.
right when he was starting to drive. And now you have kids that they don't even want to get their driver's license.
Yeah.
It's like that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I don't need a car.
It's an interesting, I've seen a couple cycles go through, right? So, growing up, like really getting my first car in the early 90s and living that wave, and then it, of course, hitting kind of this like hockey stick with the Fast and the Furious, and that really kind of accelerated that side of the industry, and then it kind of flattened out and died out for a little bit during the recession. And then I feel like it's kind of come back in a different way with certain people, a lot because of gaming culture, and a lot with kind of this next generation of influencers doing YouTube videos of their builds, some great, some not so great. But they've built an audience. But I think it has changed. I don't know who was saying, but there's definitely a group of the next generation who don't want a car, right? And it's a different thing for them, because for us it was our freedom, and now your freedom is your phone, at the end of the day, or your video game console that allows you to talk to all these other people around the world when you play some sort of a game together, whether it's Modern Warfare or Halo or Fortnite or whatever it is. But the same token, I've been going to a lot of cars and coffee events, and it feels like for the last, I'd say, 5 years, there's a resurgence of young people who really know cars, and a lot of it from the video games, of course, and what they're playing, what they're racing. But I didn't feel that 10 years ago. I feel like there was a real drop like 10 years ago. And now, you go to a lot of these car meets or even car week, and you've got people jumping out of their bushes with their camera. They're like, oh, that's a Aventador SVJ or whatever it is, or some Koenigsegg something. And they know exactly what it is, which reminds me of me when I knew everything that I loved in the early 90s, right? Oh, it's a F40 or NSX or, EF, I mean, all the way down to EF Civic or 69 Mustang. So I feel like there's a part of it that's kind of coming back in a way, just in a different way. And I think with the young people now, and with cars being a little bit more like it's not so specific to a genre anymore. Like when I was growing up, it was like import cars only, and that's it, right? And then as I got older, I got into Euros, and then I got more into like modern muscle and things of that nature. But I feel like the youth of today, if it's a cool car, it's a cool car, regardless of like where it comes from, or even what propulsion it has, right? Which is polarizing to a lot of people, right? This, ICE versus EV. And, I look at the next generation, and to them, it's just like, it's got four wheels. I
Goes
can
fast.
customize it. It goes fast. I'm game. So I'm really interested in that dynamic and how, of course, a lot of the young people gravitate towards the hypercar stuff, like most kids. And the hypercar stuff is super out of control compared to 25 years ago, and the number of limited edition cars that's like
dude, the
$5 million.
like think about the Vector though, back in the day.
Yeah,
I mean
I had the Vector poster.
That's like that is the peak of automotive technology.
Yeah.
Dude, see the data center in that thing, like, dude.
It looks so cool, right? I think someone's trying to bring that back, right? That brand. Which isn't surprising. I mean, DeLorean's coming back too. It's just it doesn't look like a DeLorean, but
like DeLorean comes back every 6 to 8 months under a new, complete different design.
Never
actually comes back.
Right.
Yeah, they're reliving the DeLorean mantra.
You think though about that, like you had a lot less options of the supercars and hypercars, to get excited about, but the cost to entry for a young kid to customize something, it was way cheaper. I mean, obviously it's been 25 years from now, so things are cheaper, but I mean, think back about the day, 69 Camaro for you, and Charger, and, even an older, 2-generation old Civic or whatever, you could get that stuff for, well under 10 grand, and a set of wheels and a cold air intake or something like that. And you were on your way, and it was accepted to not be fully finished or done. Or nowadays, I mean, think what you could buy. What could you buy that's 5, 6, 7 years old
today?
Yeah, today that you could start customizing and be cool. I mean, I mean, I guess some of your Camaros and your Mustangs and stuff, but the cost of that stuff is still so prohibitive for it's just different.
Yep.
Maybe it's not. Maybe we're just old and can't remember. But
that's probably part of it too. I'm guessing.
I mean, today I feel like in the younger kids, it's got to be something fairly brand new or a year or two old, and then it's got to be like all or nothing. It's got to have the correct wheels and probably a wrap and the full stereo and like all the stuff. It's expensive for a 18, 19-year-old.
It's just a different world now. Back then, it was very cheap to get it done. Like you get it, at least from my experience. I wasn't an import guy. I was in the American muscle side, but you'd see a Civic Type R and you could stick a muffler on it. It was inexpensive, but none of those things that you'd see on the street were like fast performance vehicles. Nowadays, the stuff really works. Like you can't go picking on certain like imports nowadays because you'll just get your fucking doors blown off. Back then they were doing like cosmetic things. They were making them. They're fucking loud, and that was like all it did. But now it's that seems to have evolved.
They were fast against their imports, but they weren't fast against muscle cars running around for the most part.
I ruled the streets.
Man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we broke a lot of stuff to get that fast. I don't know how many motors I blew with nitrous, like trying to just go up in jets and be like, oh, that was too much.
Yep. I've done the same exact similar thing. When you get addicted to that bottle, man, you can just
get a little more,
keep going more.
Too late.
So 1.6 liter single overrated cam, 225 horsepower shot is the max, just so you know. It won't take any more than that.
You got the 225. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I kept blowing like past the 100 shot, the direct point. I was like, I think it was like 100 and 150. So you would try to Dremel the jet out a little bit. So you're like, I know I'm going to blow up at 150, but I can do more than 100. And every time I do the Dremel of the jet, it would like, blew another motor.
So with talking about bringing the youth up, I know SEMA has always kind of played a role with kind of getting younger people involved in the industry. Any new direction that you're trying to bring to it, or any new things that we could see coming up?
No, I mean, a lot of it's been in place, to your point. The Young Guns category, of course, of Battle of the Builders has been a big thing for us to really try to highlight young builders. And we've got some great ones this year. They're like 20, 21. I mean, pretty amazing stuff that they've done at that age. We continue to have a lot of our school programs as well, where we invite certain schools and programs to the show to get exposure and experience. But I haven't started anything brand new in that sense. I'm still kind of, learning what we do now and trying to figure out how we can amplify or even expand some of the things that we do, because it's not always about new programs. And then if there are things that are missing, what are some of the things that we could do as an association to, create new ways to get people exposed to car culture. And video games has been such a big part of how people got involved with cars over the last 20 years, whether it's Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsports, or even like the phone video games, I think CSR Racing. So in my head, is there is there a way to continue that, to get people excited about car culture, and then have it translate from digital to physical. We used to partner with Gran Turismo, and there was this GT award where cars that won that award at the show would become part of the game. And maybe you guys even had a car that won
Yeah, we did.
that
Yeah,
award.
It just
just
came out.
released a couple months ago.
Yeah, the Camaro, right? It was the Camaro, the track Camaro, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved that car, by the
It
way.
was like 4 or 5 years it took to get it. It
Yeah,
takes a long time to turn that big
it
car
takes a
into
long
little
time.
digital file.
Yeah,
Yeah. To what you're saying,
Well,
that was like our coolest award. Like throw everything else out. Like
right.
we won the PlayStation award. Our car is going to be on PlayStation. Like that was the coolest thing you could
Yeah.
possibly do.
Yeah. So things like that, I think, could really, especially with the way digital is evolving and gaming is evolving, I think it continues to be a space that we can invite youth, right? Into the industry, at least from an exposure perspective, and then somehow get them to an event. And luckily, like cars and coffee stuff is pretty big right now. That I think that's might be another avenue as well. If we as an association can partner with some of these guys that are doing these cars and coffee events, it's just a way to bring more people into the hobby, into the culture.
You guys remember the movie Wizard from back in the 80s with Fred Savage?
Yeah.
Like with the video game thing where he like traveled.
Yeah. Where are you going with this?
I'm just thinking, on my marketing teams, races, dude, SEMA. That's all right. That's what you do. Forza and
A little big race. At
that's
the SEMA
like
show.
a big, big race, right?
It would be cool.
Yeah.
What's your plans with social media? Because
that's where I was leading.
Dude, I thought I was on something there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Josh is done with that. We're on to the next thing.
Let's face it. You've been there 6 months. Social media for SEMA has not been the definitely not been the crown jewel. It's not something that there's, I guess, put the focus towards from the outside looking in that I think it probably needs, especially when you're talking about engaging youth.
Yeah, it's definitely understaffed, unfortunately. So it's definitely one of the things that we need to support more. I think we can definitely improve in the content that we're making, and again, tell better stories that are more meaningful. And look at every channel different. I've got one person that handles most of it, and it's just not it's too much to ask for one person to do. And so that's part of the evolution that I have to kind of really push forward, in terms of bringing some agency support, getting more content creators to create content specifically for social, which I think a lot of, coming from my former life at McGuire's, we took it really seriously. By the time I left, I can't remember how many people I had just working on social media specifically. But when you're an organization, a lot of times you're like, oh yeah, that's easy, right? You just have one person do like,
Right.
handle 9 different accounts and have them like answer all the DMs and create the content, look at the analytics. It's like, that's more than one person's job. And so we just have to be more serious about it, right? And what we're going to do there. So it's definitely a big part of, kind of why I came in a way, and part of a focus for me, to make sure that we evolve it and use it to the best of our ability to, highlight our members and to share, content that's relevant to not just the membership base, but also the enthusiasts that follow us. Because we do have a really big audience. And I'd say a lot of that audience is more of an enthusiast set than the membership set, right? Because I mean, look at Instagram's like 550,000. On our best SEMA show year, you're going to get 150,000 people, right? So how many of those people that are on Instagram don't ever make it to the show? They're just big fans. So I think there's a balance that I'll have to find in creating content, that's really for our membership base, and really to help them kind of propel forward to, to continue their success. And then there's other content that we'll develop that's, of course, for that enthusiast set, especially as we kind of roll forward with individual membership and kind of, now have an opportunity to invite these enthusiasts to be part of the association.
Yeah, I was excited seeing you come on. You seem a lot younger than the majority of the SEMA executive team that we've talked to. So we're excited to see where you can go with it. But To your point, like there's how many companies that 3/4 of their views come from the content they create at SEMA.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
And then I kind of look at like SEMA's got all the content there and they're not creating what
Yeah,
they
they're
could be. I think there's,
missing out what they.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I think there's
Well, I
huge
think
opportunities to promote the cars, promote the vendors, promote the hobby, promote the enthusiast, and just have a huge audience that I think could do some
I
pretty
I
phenomenal
get the
things.
mentality that it's an organization. I understand that,
yeah,
but at the same time, it's no different than any other brand. I mean, I'm sure you're looking at it that
no.
way. It's still a brand that you've got to get out there.
Well, I think the unique part about SEMA and the association is we can be agnostic, right? And we can really open our doors to other people's content. UGC, user generated content's used by lots of different companies, and I would say we really haven't done our best to really open our arms to, you know, brands, content creators that are creating content that we could easily, co-collaborate and reshare and get exposure on. And so for me, that's a big thing because we're going to be limited by the amount of content we can create. But the industry, to your guys' point, there's so much people that create all sorts of content that relate just to the culture and the hobby. And so for me, it's the idea of how can I help create platforms, more than just a channel for SEMA, but a platform for the industry, where we can do things to really highlight content that other people are making.
Absolutely.
the Battle of the
Yeah,
Builders does pretty good on social media. Yeah, that's always like
everyone's
prominent.
tuned in.
Yeah, it's right in front of you. Everybody's talking
Yeah,
about it. That does pretty
for
well.
sure. And as you guys know, with
The
the
best car
show,
doesn't always win. Yeah, we're aware of that. Um,
I'm gonna
who
stay
who
out
are
of
the
that
judges?
one.
Who are the judges?
Well, it's changed, right? It started with Freiberger and Fred. I think I jumped on year 2 for the sport compact side, and then it evolved when it went to history. And now we've got Cam, who judges hot rod and hot rod trucks, which we merged together for the first time. And Cam, of course, won. I don't know when 5 years ago, I
It's with
think, with his
his
Camaro.
Camaro. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Jeremiah, who's our off-road judge, which used to be off-road and off-road trucks and off-road, was a top 3. I think he specializes more in like overlanding kind of Toyota stuff. Kyle, who was a winner of Young Guns, is the judge of the Young Guns class, which used to be judged by a bunch of influencers, and now it's just Kyle. And then someone had to replace me because it's kind of my program now. So we're bringing on this guy Ryan from Rywire, who had gotten into the top 10
Yeah, I remember.
and then the top 12. Yeah, he had an Integra and then he did an S2000. So he'll be the sport compact judge
Sweet.
or import performance.
There's
So I'm excited. I think it's year 9. I'm gonna definitely try to spend as much time as I can with them walking around, as they like kind of narrow it down from the couple hundred entries to 40 to 12, right? So
there's some bangers coming this year. There's some heavy hitters that I know of that are going to be out there. It should be an
yeah,
interesting year.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
yeah. I
Always
mean,
is.
from the hot rod side, it's always insane, right? The amount of stuff that comes, and even the other classes, I think over the last couple of years have definitely expanded. So it's always for me very interesting because I learned so much. And you guys are right. Battle of the Builders does really well because people love cars, and the things that you guys are doing to it and the innovation that's coming from, the parts that are being created, but how it's being used more than anything, right? Because I think a lot of the creativity is, of course, in developing a new part, but it's also like, how do you incorporate that in a full build? And that, I think for a lot of people, that's really a lot of the fun part, seeing kind of the SEMA show in action, right? Where all the parts get put onto a vehicle, and then there's a final product, right?
What do you see coming in the next few years or even this year, SEMA? What's the next big thing that's trend wise that's rolling?
Oh man, that's a great question. It's crazy to me because it's not my deal that mall crawlers have become as big as they are, um,
I was
which is just
hoping you were
nuts
gonna
because
stay
I,
away
I go,
from that one. I was hoping you'd stay away from that
yeah,
one.
I know, but I think if there's a segment of the industry that's in it that loves it, or there won't be as many. But beyond that, because I feel like that's been happening for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Beyond that, it's interesting. I'm seeing a lot more fusion of styles, even in the Battle of the Builders, where like some hot rod builds will have a little bit of influence from Euro or tuner, and then trucks will have a lot of influence from hot rod, and some import performance stuff will have a lot of influence from the hot rod side with the clean engine bay and the wire tucking, and so I feel like over the years I just continue to see more and more fusion of things, and more sub segments where like there's this combination of tuning that combines different genres. I do feel that there's also more projects that are being EV converted. So you're seeing more and more of those as well, where it's an older model car like a Defender or a 911 or something, and then it's being resto modded, but it's being resto modded with an EV propulsion or drivetrain, which is super interesting as well. And I think I'm just seeing more of that. So I feel like I think EV West, the wait time to get a car done there is like 3 years or something crazy like that. So I just see that as becoming more popular, especially in cars where whatever the old power plant is just difficult to work on. It always breaks down. I mean, I think that the Defender is a great example of that, where you're like, half the time you don't know if it's going to fire up. You better have the best AAA service car that you can, because more than half the time you're going to tow it home, right? And so you're kind of seeing some of that like replace those powertrains. So that I think that's becoming bigger.
That's a good point. When I get my Countach, I'm probably going to Prius swap it, because they're inherently difficult to maintain mechanically.
The Prius or the
No, the
Countach?
Countach.
Okay.
No, let's just stop.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
It's a
Hey,
Fiero
I will
Countach,
say that that'll break the internet for sure if you
Not
if
in a
you
good
EV
way.
Countach,
That would
for
not
sure.
be in a good way.
I get the fact that there's those, the Defenders and all that stuff. Yeah, you could EV swap it and make it more, but you could also, for like a quarter of the cost, just put a fucking LS in it and just drive it.
Yeah,
I'm
you could always LS it.
yeah, I think the EV stuff is awesome for pushing the technology and the industry forward. As a replacement, absolutely not. And I'm the fad part of it, I'm just a little sick and tired of hearing about.
business idea here.
Yeah.
We LS swap Teslas, sell the batteries and motors
To
to
the EV
EV
guys?
West, so they can then turn them into EVs.
Oh, dude,
That's kind of like double dipping, but
Switch it around.
That's kind of like that video you showed me with the inverter,
Power in the battery.
power in the
charger.
battery, which is power in the battery charger, which is then power in the battery. That's
We just keep buying Teslas, LS swapping them, selling the batteries and the motors to EV West. That's a great business
That'd be
model.
interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year
We'll,
with the
we'll
with
cut
the
this
EV
part
stuff.
out just so nobody else knows.
But there's some cool like that Meyer Manx, whatever, the little doom buggy deal that
Yeah.
that concept they've come up with. I like the idea of it being in certain vehicles, things that you don't associate like an engine sound or performance
power and
with.
performance.
Yeah. I mean, I could
Like a street legal golf cart plus.
Yes. So like
Beach
early
cruiser.
Beetles,
Yeah.
Volkswagen buses, dune buggies, Corvairs. I like all that. That stuff's it interests me a little
Right.
bit.
It's when you were talking about the mall crawlers, and I mean, I know you're talking about all the SEMA trucks out front and those big, crazy, wild, that's just nuts what they're doing. But as I'm thinking about that, are we those guys now that when we were messing with those imports way back in the day, they're like, what are all these guys doing with screwing these cars and stuff like that? Are we those old guys now where
No,
we're
you were that guy back then.
No.
Like you were that guy then.
throwing,
Yeah.
yeah, we're like those trucks, you mean?
Right.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. We're throwing shade at these guys building these trucks and the Carolina squat and doing all this kind of stuff. And we were all dumb kids one day, way back when, doing stupid stuff to vehicles that we probably shouldn't have been doing.
I don't have any problem with it, dude. I mean, I just feel
What are you so scared of? What are you so scared of?
I'm just like I'm gonna play the middle ground. I just like everything. You're gonna go to SEMA, and one of those dudes, man, you're gonna be just walking, minding your business.
I haven't
texting, and some
talked-
guy with the mall crawler.
I think it's going to be a group of like 3 of them come and just lay you out.
Yeah.
and then get into it. This is how
I
we
don't
roll
have
song. Just singing Florida Georgia Line as they whoop your ass.
I don't have a problem with the trucks so much as I know that all of those guys listen to Florida Georgia Line. That's my problem.
Yeah. Yeah, the truck stuff will be interesting to see this year, though, to see if that
Well,
trend keeps rolling, or if there's because the long
yeah.
travel stuff, the Raptors,
What?
the TRXs, there's so many good parts out there now. We've had a lot of those guys on the podcast with, Jerry Zayden and
Yeah.
Gibby Tech.
Gibby
Yeah.
Tech. There's so many good parts. I'm anxious to see if more of that, like if that translates to more pre-runner style long travel, like
Well,
quality builds. We'll see.
what do you guys think of the whole overlanding movement? Because that seems to be really gaining traction as well.
We think it's cool. We don't get it because we don't get to experience that in the Midwest. So for us, there's no,
God,
like, we look at those and we always say, like, man, do people actually use these? Do they actually
It
use
looks
these
like it'd be a
things?
crap ton of fun.
Yeah, and I have friends that are out west that legitimately, like, have, bought those things, outfitted them, made some pretty cool overlander vehicles and used them, lived in them. But for us, it's like, I mean, what are you gonna do? Drive? There's like a campground
Go to
15,
KOA
20 minutes.
up
You're gonna
there.
go over there
Go to Forest
overnight and, like,
Preserve.
come back tomorrow. It's cool though. There's a lot of very interesting pieces, a lot of good engineering.
Yeah,
they got to
that's
make things collapse, and
yeah,
pretty cool.
a lot of stuff in a small package.
Yeah, it's a growing industry though, from what I
yeah,
understand.
no, there seems to be a lot of traction. The overlanding events seem to get bigger and bigger, which is really interesting. And and then to your point, you look at stuff like King of the Hammers and how big that is right now, with a lot of the off-road racing and just the trucks that are coming out that are we could just take them and make them your pre-runner and not do a whole lot, not have to do a whole lot.
Yeah,
Uh, so yeah, there's just so many segments that feel like they're kind of booming, which is great. Even the import side, there's the new 400Z, there's the Supra that just came out with a manual trans, and so there's a little bit of a resurgence there. There's a new FR 86 BRZ, and so with like anything, whenever there's a new platform, it kind of reinvigorates that segment a little bit.
yeah. The C8 was a little surprising. That was kind of light. When usually you see when Ford, when there's a new Mustang, there's a new body style. I mean,
They're so hard to get.
yeah, it just owns the SEMA show. The C8 was a little quiet.
I think it'd be big this year. I think C8s will be big this year. Everybody's still waiting on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been tough, right, for the whole industry. That look at Bronco, look at C8, so many cars that everybody wants, but unfortunately, because of the supply chain issues, that we're not able to get as many of those enthusiast cars on the road, because they're just all waiting for chips or something else or something that's missing. So that's definitely a bummer. I'm looking forward to things being where they were, at some point in terms of cars getting produced and the aftermarket getting their hands on them and modifying them and customizing them.
It'll make things a lot easier around here, that's for sure. Phil's been waiting on his new MX-5 for what's that, a year and a half now for the
if not longer.
for the new R spec edition. Is that what it is? Race only.
RO.
It's basically like the Ford GT. I don't know if you know anything about the Mazda stuff, but you had to be a Mazda enthusiast and be selected to get the new race only
Wow.
Miata
And
MX-5.
Is that like a body in white type thing, or is that actual street legal
It's street legal
ish?
ish,
That's
right?
okay.
But yeah, Mazda worked a deal, and it's basically a full-blown race car. Yeah.
Wow. I have to look that up. I mean, I'm familiar with some Mazda stuff, but not super
You just talk
entrenched.
to Phil. You could just
Yeah, we'll chat
yeah.
after.
He's
the
a
show
big
if you
Miata
want.
guy.
huge,
All right.
huge.
I know you got a hard stop, so we're gonna get to some of our standard questions.
Sure.
First up, though, a little bit tweaked from your standard. What is something now that you've come on? You've been to 25 SEMA shows in a row. You've been on with the as an employee for 6 months. What's something that you've learned in the last 6 months that you either wish you would have known or that you wish you could express to everybody out there, that it's something that different than what you thought it was?
Well, I've always known it, but it's not as evident until I got here that SEMA's more than just the SEMA show. When I got the job, everyone's like, "Oh, you're moving to Vegas?" I'm like, "No, their office is in Diamond Bar." And so I just learned so much more about everything that the association does, even the stuff at SEMA Garage, right? Which I kind of knew about, but now that I'm here, I just understand a lot more. And so, partly on me now to get some of the word out of all the other programs that we have, that really, we offer, right, to our membership base. So, yeah, there's just so much information there. There's got to be a way for us to get the word out more and kind of create a buzz beyond just the show itself.
All right, now you got to
Social
take
media.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, the social media. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he got the picture on the social media stuff.
Just circle back.
Take your SEMA employee hat off. What's your best SEMA story?
Ooh, oh, that's a tough question. I'll start with my most memorable one because it's really special to me. So, I think back in 01 or 02, I had a chance to be on a turntable at American Honda to debut this tube chassis race car that I was trying to build. So that was just such a surreal experience to be part of an OEM debut. Unfortunately for me, I never got the car done, and I went crazy into debt because the first chassis was crooked, and then I have to build another one, and I just ran out of money to borrow. So it's kind of a bittersweet story, but it was still one of the most memorable for me, and not so crazy. But it wasn't, it just wasn't every day that I think I was probably, I don't know, 23, 24 and had that opportunity to kind of be on a stage like that. So that's super special to me. From the crazy perspective, I mean, SEMA through the years, I'm sure we all had these crazy long nights
Josh
where
has had 'em.
we just went back to the hotel to shower to get back to the show. So
Yeah, there's been
I
many
think
of those.
I've definitely had a number of those,
Yep.
especially in my younger years.
Gotta hit that shower.
I was hoping that it was going to be like you and LJ Garcia and like Stefan Papadakis, like in the up in the penthouse at 4:00 in the morning doing something crazy. I was just dreaming. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Nick Papa
Craig
Jojo.
Paisley used to have some pretty crazy parties, I remember. If
Yeah.
you remember Craig.
Yep. Yeah, that was those were different, way different times back then.
Yeah.
Reminiscing on old times. Next up, what is the best car movie in your opinion, and why?
I mean, I'm super partial to this one.
Best car
figured-
movie that you're not in.
Okay, best car movie that I'm not in. Whoa. From a racing perspective, from the cars that were in it perspective.
Doesn't matter. It just has to be it. We've had some stretches on this podcast, so
Oh, really?
yeah.
So I'm a big F1 fan, so it's car, but it's more racing. So I really love the Senna documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been in a theater and seen so many grown men cry. When I watched that documentary in the
cool.
movie theater.
Yeah.
I thought the Ford versus Ferrari was also a really great film. Like like you get some racing movies and you walk out and you're like, yeah, that was entertaining. It was kind of whacked.
They
But
could
I
have
felt
screwed
like
that one up
Yeah,
bad.
it was
good.
very
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah.
But it was really well done. So, I think those were great. It's not really a car movie, but Grease to me was a little bit, had some of that. And when I was young, that was just a big movie that made an impact on me as well. And to me, it's sort of a car movie that I kind of enjoyed. And then, of course, McQueen and Le Mans. So, I mean, again, very racing oriented. So I think there's a pattern here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What was the F? Was it Driven or Drive with Stallone? That was an F1.
Oh
Yeah.
It was more of an
Yeah.
IndyCar
IndyCar.
style. It was driven. That one really was not good.
It's a little.
Where they had to
I mean, it was
pick up
very
4
far,
quarters.
very far fetched.
Yeah. Oh, very.
Memo Moreno, I think his name was.
Yeah.
He had to
Yeah.
pick up 4
Yeah.
quarters
Yeah.
and 4 tires. And
Yeah. I was excited about that one, and then it came out. And I was like, yeah, not so much.
Yeah.
Let's see. Second to last, best piece of advice that you've ever received.
Best piece of advice. So many. I would say the best piece of advice I've gotten is to stay curious and to always be learning. That you can always be better every day, and if you have that mindset, you'll end up finding success in some way, shape, or form, right? Versus being just stagnant and getting stuck. So I would say that would be the best advice I've ever given, and I take it to heart, and I try to spread the word on that whenever I work with younger people or when I mentor people and whatnot. So
If you could go back in time to any time, what time would it be, and what would you tell yourself?
I really love the 90s, the way, that era that we grew up in. What would I tell myself? Just to keep pushing, man, to keep doing, to keep, finding the things that I love, and to not be afraid. I feel very blessed and fortunate that I kind of had this mentality of like, let's just go after it. And so I would tell younger me not to be afraid of that, and to embrace it, and to lean into it even more quickly than I did back then. Just break barriers.
Did you ever go back and throw it in your mom's face about making you go to engineering school when the car scene has got you to where you are today?
No, I mean, my mom's super special. She had a Honda Odyssey minivan, and she ended up turbocharging it and going to drag races with us. So she kind of joined the club.
How did you
right?
just
So,
fail to mention that through this whole podcast?
Yeah.
My mom's got a turbo minivan.
Yeah, it was funny because my
Damn.
mom's like 4'11", and she was a great bracket racer because the minivan was auto. So I taught her how to build boost at the line and launch at the second yellow, and she would always be a 10th within her dial in. And so a lot of my friends would race her, but she would win a lot, and then she would want to give them a hug, because that's just my mom was 50 and she was Asian and she loved people. And then my friends would just come so destroyed, especially guys with like Eclipses or any Honda, and they were like, I just lost your mom in a minivan. And I had to hug her.
She gave me a hug.
And I was like, I'm sorry, man. I'm just glad I don't race in her bracket.
That's awesome.
And last but not least, what all the fans want. Time for a pocket dump. You've got to dump out of your pockets and explain to us what is in your pockets right now.
Oh man, I don't have anything in my
There's
pockets.
nothing in your pocket?
Usually,
You don't have like the keys
No.
to a 10-second car or something?
All right,
there?
what's on your desk? What's on your desk then? We'll get a little creative. What's on the desk?
Yeah, looking in front of me, I've got my big cup for coffee because I live on caffeine. Sunglasses, earphones, like 2 cell phones. I don't know. I run the 2 cell phone method, one for work, one for personal, and just a bunch of paperwork. A lot of stuff on Launchpad because we're going through that right now. Some stuff on Battle of the Builders. That's very top of mind, as well as we kind of continue down the road and get closer to the show and all the young guns that we just finished our virtual corrals. So super excited for that.
What's your daily
yeah,
driver?
I'm a big sneakerhead. Daily driver right now is a Honda Accord, shocker. I came into this role like I didn't have a project car, so I purposely bought a car because I was like, I can't go to SEMA and not have a project car. So I bought an S2000 right like 3 weeks before I started this job, which was a car that I owned and lent to Universal for the first movie, which they bought for the second movie, and now it's sitting at the Petersen. It's the pink S2000. It wasn't pink when I owned it. And then I ordered another collector car because the last one I sold in 2019. And it was time to kind of replace it. So that'll come at the end of the year, which is an Aston Martin F1 edition. So,
Yep, that's cool.
Sweet.
You want to break out the line, or
It's been I'm holding myself back. You go ahead.
What is it?
it's one that just stuck with both of us forever after watching Fast and the Furious 1. It's fools running a Honda S2000.
yeah. There you go. That was my S2000 in that movie, actually.
Damn.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And now we can put a face with the car.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Great.
I wasn't in it. I was really pissed that they didn't let my character have like the car that I owned.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
It was
sense.
the lead villain's car. Yeah, I know, totally. They put me in this like POS white Civic. I was so upset, actually.
Well, man, it's been great.
Yeah. Pleasure, dude.
Glad you could come on. I'm sure we'll see you here in, what do you say, 5 weeks? Is that really how fast it is? Something like that?
5 weeks,
5,
my
6
friends. 5 weeks.
Can
Do
we
you guys
push it
have any
back
cars?
1 or 2?
If only.
Asking
I
for
wish.
everybody here, everybody in the
Asking
industry.
for everyone, including me. I'm part of that. Unfortunately, no. Do you guys have cars entered in Battle of the Builders this year?
No, we haven't entered them yet, but we're gonna enter we've got a 70 Chevelle that'll be entered. We've got an 87
Awesome.
Grand National, on the fence about it.
Okay.
We've just spent the past month thrashing it on the street, so it's gonna take a few touch-ups
Okay.
if we're gonna
Got
enter
it.
it to
Well,
compete at that
I
level, but
always,
Do rock chips garner more points for use?
that's a Cam thing, not a me thing.
yeah.
So
But we got a really, really neat chassis underneath the Ring Brothers build that those guys have pulled out all the stops
okay,
on that I'll be
awesome.
interested to see if anybody
Okay.
can hang with that car for Battle of the Builders. And I'm
Yeah,
assuming they've entered
okay.
it, so
Yeah,
bringing like
they're
15
bringing like
cars.
7 or 8 cars from what I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, 15. Geez
Well, no, I
Louise.
think
Hey,
I think
Wow.
you're there, but it'll be
wow.
interesting. Check it out.
Gonna
Look
be
forward to
crazy.
seeing
Well,
it.
very cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you guys having me. I look forward to seeing you, and I always love looking at your builds. So whatever you guys bring, please let me know where it is so I can at least get under and give them a look.
Absolutely,
Sounds
man. I
good.
appreciate it.
Thanks, RJ.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a
Thanks,
great
man.
day.
See you
All right,
later.
you too. Big thanks again to RJ de Vera. That was actually a really good one. You don't like it when I say
No.
that, I know, but it was a good one.
Was interesting guy.
Remember to check out SEMA's website at SEMA.org or follow RJ on Instagram at RJ_de Vera. All right. This is where we tell you about some of the cool new gear, guns, EDC shit, whiskey, and other stuff that we're into. This In the Glove Box segment is brought to you by Blade HQ. Whether you're into cars, motorcycles, hunting, fishing, grilling, or any number of things, you've got the tools that you swear by. Have you ever noticed that the tools that you swear by always ends up being a knife?
Absolutely.
I have noticed that.
Yeah. Well,
I actually just the other day got a new vacuum from the Amazon and didn't have my knife in my pocket.
Wait, who got a new
My
vacuum?
wife.
Okay.
It was her birthday. I bought her something nice.
You are sweet.
you
What a
are.
guy.
I didn't have my knife in my pocket, and she was like outraged at how could I be walking around the house without a knife? What if she needed something opened?
As well, she should be.
There we were. So luckily, it was like 3 feet away, but cut it open.
Well,
Great
you-
story.
That's
you
a
don't-
fucking awesome story.
didn't have a knife.
Yeah,
got
As
a
the
knife.
tool you
Got in a
swear by, I
cut
didn't have
box
the
with the
tool that I
knife.
swear
It's a-
by on me.
I'd have no
You do
problem
feel
with
I
it.
feel naked the other day. I forgot a knife. Don't you feel naked without it? You always
I do
like-
the 3-point check. It's cell phone, knife, wallet.
Yeah.
Oh, we
before
went
you go anywhere.
downtown the other night. I didn't have a knife, and it was the whole time. It was like checking.
Yeah, you really let me down, dude. I'm rolling like strapped,
He had a bazooka.
ready to go, and you are just nothing. The city of Chicago.
Yeah, you can't go inside the United Center strapped.
You can go outside the United
Yeah,
Center. though.
you can do that. Well, if you don't have the knife that you swear by, it's time you got yourself one. And Blade HQ is by far 100% hands down, no questions about it, the place to get it.
I'll tell you what it's better than. That's Bass Pro Shop. I was there the other day.
There you got
And
shit
I-
for knives.
Yeah,
They
it's
got some
cruising around.
Gerbers.
I think
Some
it's
cool-
just this location. There's some other locations I've been in that I've been surprised with the knife selection. I think it's our local one.
I'd say Blade HQ's got a little cheat sheet going on right now for like the last 2 weeks. They've been dropping their best of 2022.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. So a lot of cool knives. They're best sellers, the coolest ones in their mind. So if you want to just jump right to the head of the cool guy list, you can just scroll back through that, find something that fits your needs.
I'm challenging the guys right now. Anybody that's listening, hop on to bladehq.com/oil and whiskey. Get yourself a knife. Doesn't have to be the greatest, most fanciest, most expensive. When they say they've got knives to fit any job, any hand, any budget, they mean it because you can get.
What if you got
We've
like
talked
what if
about
you got like tiny hands?
They've got tiny knives.
Does Heath have a knife from there?
Oh yeah, they've got
Is it-
special selection.
What if you
Yeah,
got what if you got mitts? Like
They've
little
got big
catcher's
knives.
mitts.
They've got knives to fit any hand,
Okay.
all
you got-
all sizes.
You got from Kenny Davis down to Heath, everything in between.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, get yourself a knife. Should spend whatever your budget will allow. $20, they've got cool knives. $50, they've got cool knives. $100, they got cool knives. Get yourself a knife. Show your friends. Show your family.
We got to change the name of the podcast. It's got to be like oil, whiskey, and knives.
Oil, whiskey,
Blades.
sharp shit.
I don't know if that
That
flows.
doesn't, yeah. We'll work on it. It's a brainstorming, spitball it a little bit.
Yeah. See in the season 2.
We could do a jingle for it.
Nah.
Oil.
Whiskey
Oil
and
and
knives.
Yeah.
Dude, did we just harmonize?
I think we did.
Did we? You were listening.
Yeah, you
Did we-
fucking nailed it.
All right. What do we have this week? What is in our pockets? Man, eeny, meeny. Phil goes first.
All right. I'm going to start out with the old standby here.
Oh, here we go. You know
Yep.
what? I'm sick
And
of
then,
looking at
no,
that
I
thing.
brought something. I
Sick
brought
of
something
looking at it.
else just for you guys. Got them on sale.
No.
There's one right there, and there's another one.
Wow.
Picked them both
Can't
up.
get
You've
those
been-
at Blade HQ.
You've been
can
keeping
you?
those in your
No.
pocket all day long.
all day. Got them on sale at Walmart.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a cool
Yeah,
knife.
show that. I don't think anybody's seen that one yet.
Everybody's fucking seen it.
That's a fucking sweet knife. It's just the best blade.
The blade appears to have 0 kills on it. It's pretty fresh. Blade.
Use that thing 300 times a day. It won't cut paper. I guarantee it.
That tears. Yeah. You definitely. This knife has seen some work. Can we send this back to Blade
Flip
HQ?
it over. Use the backside. It might cut
Yeah,
better.
I'm sure Blade HQ would probably sharpen that for him.
I wonder if it's still pretty stabby.
Stab away. Yeah, that's all I got. Nothing else exciting.
It's got the action.
It's well worn in. Kind of
Okay.
go with the other approach. Find something that works. I stick with it. It will
Hold your
kill.
hand up. Do you think I can go all the way through your hand? You ready? Brace yourself.
Hold on.
All right. Wait, did we? Are we bringing back the? Stab it
I've
around the
never
fingers
been,
and go
I've
for a
never
speed?
been good at that.
You
Oh.
used to be able to do that back in the day when you had like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
But now that
you just fold the knife when you hit a finger.
Oh,
when you're carrying these like expensive high tech blades
Weapons.
that will shear a finger.
what else you
Yeah.
got, Phil?
That phone.
So you brought the same knife that you've already bought 100 times before,
Yeah. If
and
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
2 of these.
Yeah, 2 of those. Those were nice. You got to admit.
Jeremy, it's
So-
your turn.
Yeah, I got a few items
What do you
here.
have?
A repeat. That's the Shinola limited edition Benchmade, which I dig that thing. It's got so much heft to it.
It's got some weight. That's a nice knife.
Turn it over. You can see the little Shinola on the back there. It's cool.
It's little orange details.
To get that. But tell you what, you can get just about anything at Blade HQ, but what you can't get, at least for now, unless they're interested in carrying them, is this limited edition. This is a
That Where's Waldo?
Wyatt Gerber original katana.
Oh,
And
Oh.
check this out. It's
for oil and whiskey?
yeah.
Look at
so
that.
so he's been making these things. And I walk by, I'm like, dude, what are you making? And it's a katana. So I go, sweet, a katana. So he yeah, it's got a good feel, doesn't it?
Yeah. Come closer.
And look, it comes complete with,
With
a
a sheath?
sheath. Yeah. And that thing tucks right in there nicely. And if you want to wall mount it, he's got one of these wall mounted under his bunk bed. He makes this little adapter kit so the sheath goes in it,
Oh,
and then you pin
Little
that to the
holster.
wall. It's a holster.
does he have an Etsy account yet?
It's coming.
That
coming.
is. Tell you what, kid can make some money.
That's something.
Oil and whiskey special edition katana. Is
That's
this
the
for us
first-
to put in the
Dude.
studio?
Yeah, that's the first oil and whiskey knife
Custom knife, yeah.
we've been asking
You're
for
right.
for a while.
Yeah, if Wyatt can do it, Blade HQ
It's got a
can
little
do it.
RS on there too. You see that?
I see that.
Yeah. So
Look
Is
at that.
Painted?
Wyatt is
Quite the artiste.
quite the artiste. I like that sheath. Boy, that just
doesn't it?
goes-
It's a good fit.
Yeah, it
I was
really is.
surprised. See, I saw him doing one and I was actually impressed. I'm like, that's cool little. I like the blade style.
Yeah.
You know, he selected a great
Yeah, he
blade
did.
style. That could have been anything. That could have been like a Bowie knife.
Right.
Something
He's
traditional.
got
but
an eye.
katana style.
Got an eye.
Nicely done.
Is that it? Are you empty?
That is it, man.
You're out of
I think
things?
him and Cam should partner up. Get
Yeah.
a picture of the underside of my son's bed.
A lot of weapons.
400 knives, blow darts, bow and arrows stuck into the top of the bunk bed in case sister comes in at night.
I think
You got to
he's
stay ready so you ain't got to get ready.
I think he's a
That's-
prepper.
I am.
Hey, nobody asked. Nobody cares, Josh. We just
Okay,
kinda-
that's
yeah.
fine. We don't
yeah.
have to do me.
Good.
Not a
Okay.
problem.
What's the next segment here?
I'm rocking this is an old timer. This is an artisan cutlery. I like this
I
because
love
you
that knife.
like it. That's why I like it.
That's a
because you
great-
don't have it.
That's a great blade.
It's a great blade. There's they've got all types of scales for these. Blade HQ has got a shit ton. of
I
them.
love the straight razor style on
I
it.
do.
I
I do as well.
Looks like you want to shave.
Mhm.
Right?
It's great in the pocket, great pocket feel, great action. Everything about this knife is just a great knife. It's one that I carry quite often.
One that he's probably going to steal.
Yeah. I got to have that. Just
But
Just in case you try to steal it.
for this episode, I selected out of the stash a new Gerber knife. This is a fixed blade. As you can tell, it's fixed.
so it does not.
Was it broken
it-
before?
It does not fold. Get the name right on this. This is the StrongArm. This is the Gerber StrongArm fixed blade. In
No idea where that name's going to get taken over by shortly.
in my favorite. Well,
Is your
I've
name
been-
Gerber?
I've been
Is your
known-
last name Gerber?
been known to be called StrongArm. That's for sure. In my favorite Coyote or FDE brown, I think this is going to go into a new EDC bag that I'm putting together. I think this will be a great addition to it.
Is that the fanny pack that you were talking? I'm not making fun. You were-
I am.
You were
It's a
talking a
tactical
lot
fanny
about
pack.
the fanny pack.
You will see my bag when it is completed. I'm not letting you know if it's fanny pack or not. And I'm on the fence between fanny pack and sling bag. But
But Lululemon has both, right?
Lululemon has both.
So
Although Lululemon,
tell me a little bit about what this bag does. What you're going to do with
this is going
said
to
bag.
be a bag specifically for off-body carry.
off body carry?
Yeah. So this is going to be a pistol
Okay.
and knife, flashlight, couple spare magazines, off body that I can carry when I want to carry
Off-body.
it.
Off of your
What is-
body.
So
What is
it'd be-
off body?
Off body would mean a pistol in the bag, not on your body, not in a holster. Pistol in a bag. You keep the bag.
Huh. Sometimes I think you read too much.
And
You know?
make shit up.
It's something I'm going to try. See if I like it. You
Okay.
don't know unless you try. But I think this knife would be great. Because let's face it,
Looks like a diving knife.
it's
So you know what I'm seeing right now, Josh? I'm seeing you with a fixed blade knife. I'm seeing a giant box.
Yeah.
It's untouched, mint
left-handed.
over there. I'm recalling your strikes.
You think I could get it without looking?
Listeners at home, turn the volume
Is
up
that-
for this.
This is
that
a no. Yeah, no look. Look at me.
I'm looking at you.
Holy shit. Yeah.
That was a fulcrum right there.
That's how that's how badass my knife skills are. Any questions?
I come corrected, man. That's can't
Hey,
That
argue
was
it.
left-handed too.
Can't-
That was offhand.
Cannot argue with that.
It takes some skills like that to proudly say you're going to buy a fanny pack.
Do you think
I
that?
don't know if I'm going fanny pack yet. Still on the fence.
Do you think that can come straight through that box? Roll it on its side. Chop type strike.
That was
This-
in there.
Yeah, it's buried.
There's things inside this box.
Put them outside the box.
I don't think.
Or move your other
Hold
knife
on, hold
out of the
on.
way.
Yeah.
Get it on the overhead camera.
Yeah.
Come on.
There goes the index finger.
Gone. You want to do a little Karate Kid first?
I don't know how the best way to do this.
I think I'm gonna have to trust this is a truck.
A horrible
It's a good hack.
There was no striking
there's
noise
things-
with it. That's the
That's-
reason it didn't go through.
That's stitches. That's probably about 15 stitches, but
Well, if
That's not a kill.
but that's a cardboard box.
That's not
if
a
that
kill.
was a human body, it would go right through a limb. We're going through.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yep. Oh, jeez.
Man, put the instructions right out the back.
I'll just leave that there for the viewers. Again, any question?
If that doesn't sell knives, I don't know what will.
Yeah. CodaBladeHQ.com/oil and whiskey. You too can stab some cool ass boxes.
You can
like that.
stab the instructions right out of the box.
I'm telling you what, you go. Listen, let me tell you something.
Dude,
I'm going to tell you something
I
right
can't
now.
believe you did that.
You go home right now. Anybody that's listening, go ahead and order up this StrongArm from Gerber, from Blade HQ. Order it.
And see if you can duplicate that.
Wait on it to be
Where-
delivered. And when it gets delivered, hide it from your wife. Get this, stage it. When your wife walks in, do this right here. You're telling me that don't get you some? If she sees you do that right there, that's instant.
I
All right.
I think we're married
Kids-
to different types
Kids,
of
y'all
women.
go to your room. We go into the bedroom. Because if you can stab a box like that,
You can stab
You
the
can stab-
box.
then you can stab a box like that.
Yep.
We're never gonna hear.
That's
the
a
end of that.
T-shirt right there.
I mean, seriously.
Stabbing boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we drinking?
It's your pick. You give the rundown here.
Yeah, I stopped by.
You see that?
Yes, I got that, dude.
Why don't you take a
you
picture?
Can't miss it. Stop by the old liquor store and pick this up over the weekend. It's a
Garfield's
Bard's.
Beverage Emporium.
Yeah, well, Garfield's Beverage Warehouse.
And Emporium.
Yeah, it was kind of just talking to me over there. It was one of the higher priced
Hey, Jeremy.
bottles, and it's like, look at me over here. Look at
Buy
me.
me.
Not cheap. So sometimes I look at like the higher price items, thinking to myself, like, it's probably gonna be pretty good, right? It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like a lot of the Bardstown stuff.
Yeah.
Haven't been disappointed by one yet.
No, it's great. Yeah, it's a what's the proof on it? That is 110 proof. So a little bit spicy. Josh thought it was pretty spicy. I thought it was fairly smooth. It's smooth for 110 proof.
Super smooth for 110.
For sure. But this, out of all the Bardstowns, which I'm going to say the same thing about Bardstown as I do a lot of these other brands, I just don't like when they run the same bottle
For everything.
all the way through. But the bottle's the bottle. But this is their Founders Brewing Edition, which is the KBS limited edition. It's a collaborative series deal.
Kyle Blana special.
If it's a Kyle Blana special, then we're punching this thing through the drywall. Right?
It's actually filled with Monster and Mountain Dew.
Good stuff. Yeah, real good stuff. I'd say not something that for the price point I would necessarily seek out after I kill this bottle.
What was the price point?
It's $155.
Wow.
So
On the steep side.
it's up there. You're putting that. If you brought that down to like the $90 price range, I think you've got something there. Because if you put it in line with other $90 bottles, but once you get up there, it's a different.
That's in the 70s
Yeah.
for me.
You're a different playing field.
That's
I would I'd put that with like some of the mid-level Jefferson stuff. That's kind of what it makes me think of, like the Pritchard's cask, because something it's got a little,
Yeah, it's a $90 bottle. I like that
Yeah.
one a lot.
so that's good. I mean, not knocking it by any means, but it's just not. It's not $150.
Do they do anything special with this as a collaborative series?
I think it's-
aged in anything?
Yeah, I think it sits in some sort of beer barrels or something. What did it say? Read it.
it's
Just-
from Founders Brewing, so I would
Yeah.
assume it has something to do with some beer barrels.
Hand-selected bourbon is placed into our partners' barrels, then aged in our rickhouses to mature into the finest one-of-a-kind release. Savor the latest addition to this innovative series with our joint venture with Founders 10-year Tennessee bourbon, finished for 15 months in KBS stout barrels.
So I'm just making up the beer thing then.
Oh,
Stout-
stout barrels.
stout
Stout
barrels.
barrels.
Okay,
Founders Brewery is a
got it.
so
got it.
yeah. They are doing a 10-year and then putting it into a beer barrel for another 15 months to get a little finish on it. I was really blown away that it is 110 proof. I generally have a quick reaction to the hot stuff and get a real bad chest burn out of it, but I got none whatsoever.
Phil's got a quick gag reflux,
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
isn't it?
No, it's acid reflux.
Oh, okay. Acid reflux. That's what I said. Just Mike.
I liked it. A little on the high price point, but if you want something special, something unique,
Yeah.
might warrant it for your collection if you got a lot of high end stuff.
I think it's one for the price point. I think it's one. Absolutely buy it, savor it, because after you kill it, you're probably not going to buy it again. You know, so you know what I mean.
It
Does that make any
doesn't.
sense?
There's nothing off-putting about it. There's nothing bad about it. It is for me, for some reason, it's a little spicy to me. Not in a bad way. It just is a little spicy. It just doesn't fit my flavor profile. I don't know why. It's not that I hate it. It's just not one of those things. I'm like, man, fucking love that.
I think it's time to rate it.
What's
Are we
the
good?
rating?
So it's been a little while. We've slipped up because our last.
You may have had one or two too many on the last few and
Yeah,
forgot
it
to
seems
rate
like the
them.
ones when the bottle's empty, we forget to rate it. Is that
We
sound about
only
right?
we've only
Fair enough.
missed one rating.
Is that it?
Mhm.
You sure?
We didn't rate Delmos when we drank the Crown. We've rated.
We finished the shit out of that bottle though.
We did. We killed that bottle. I wouldn't.
What? Go ahead. Hold back.
I probably enjoyed drinking that Crown more than I drank this. Just
All right, you
saying
said it, dude. Let me see this. If I can.
Go
It's
ahead.
been a minute. I need to refresh myself. As far as
I'm
our
gonna go
rating
shoot from the
scale.
hip. I'm gonna go.
I'm going 6.6.
I was going to 6.8. I wanted
I'm
to
going
go
6.
7, but the price point brought her down a little bit.
I'm going 6.6. Phil's going 6.8.
I wouldn't go 6.6 just because that's Michael Jordan.
I'm gonna stick with. I think Phil's on the money with that. I think it's a 6.8. You drop that price down, you're a 7.2. So it's good. Grab it. Tell your friends
You
about it.
realize we gave that 92 proof Clyde Mays 7.75 and 8.0 and an 8.1.
Dude, that was a
Tell me-
shock. That was a shocker.
I know. Well, I'm
Yeah.
giving the listeners, if they didn't catch that episode, you've got a $155 bottle, right? That scored 1.5 points from our scale. Not that
Yeah.
that means
Yes,
anything.
in our defense, our ratings mean fucking nothing.
No, but they don't mean anything, but we do have at least a body of work to go against, you know? The 1 to 10 means shit, but you can say that
I feel like we should rate them on the first or second drink, not the fifth glass.
This is only the second glass for me. This is an accurate rating.
This is I have to have a couple of them to get them going. But
I think that's
I mean,
good.
a 92 proof Clyde Mays is going to come in at what, $50?
That's a good example of why you can't always select on price, because you're typically drawn to, if you're looking for a high quality bourbon, a lot of times you're drawn to those top shelf bourbons. But
Just to pull back the curtain a little bit, if this was cheaper and in a better bottle, I'd have liked it more.
It's
So-
brown and gold in the
Yeah.
label, though. That's right up your alley.
Yeah, I
That
love
is.
that's right.
You know
up my
what's a
alley.
good example and something that we haven't had? You know that Slaughterhouse?
Oh,
That's a really good example of like a price point with the right marketing,
have
right
you had
flavor.
that Contradiction?
Yes.
What do you think
Smooth
of it?
Ambler?
Smooth Ambler.
Yeah.
We had that here. And nobody liked it.
The Contradiction?
It was
it's
the big
in
weed or something.
It's on the other bar out of the podcast studio.
It was the
it's-
big Ambler.
Big Ambler. I want to try I haven't tried the Contradiction. I want to try. I've had the Straight Edge.
Yes, sorry. That's what I meant. Straight Edge. I'm thinking that Slaughterhouse is the other.
The other band that Eminem was in
Yeah.
for a while.
I don't even know. Yeah. Right. Isn't that I think their whiskey. Is that
Slaughterhouse.
right?
The Straight Edge is straight.
Straight Edge is their bourbon.
Straight Edge is the bourbon,
Yeah.
but the Contradiction is a bourbon as well too, or has it got some? Is it rye? I don't remember. We're gonna need to try some of the Smooth
We
Ambler
need a
stuff
Googler over
and
here.
Yeah.
and do it. That's coming up next. But for the Bardstown 110 proof, the KBS Founders Brewing Special, 6.8, 6.8, and a 6.6.
I mean, I've had the blue one, I think of the Discovery series. I really, really like. Have you tried that one?
No, this is the first. I've got a Bardstown
I don't have
at
any of the
home, which
Bardstown.
I think is like something that's in a cab barrel or something. I haven't opened it yet.
They do their
I've never had
Discovery
any of
series
those.
of blue label and a red label. Really like the blue label. That's a $75-$80 bottle.
Before we move on, we've got this. We're going to keep doing this till the end of the season. We're going to have basically everything that we've tasted and reviewed. What do you guys think we should do with this? Do you think anybody's going to like want to see it, or do we make it
Yeah.
available? Do we make a book?
Instagram post.
Maybe the listeners should let us know what they want.
Yeah.
Is this something they care about?
Dude, honestly, I think we got something there, because
Josh's handwriting is
well,
impeccable.
it's number one, it's beautiful the way Josh writes like a high school girl, which is a compliment,
Yeah,
It's a,
absolutely.
It sounded like
Yeah.
you didn't have to tell me.
dude, that was genuine.
Right.
But for guys who aren't like, we're not whiskey connoisseurs. We're guys that we have a tremendous amount of bourbon. We drink a lot of bourbon, but we're not like getting on any of those bourbon review websites. So these might be rookie reviews, but a lot of the guys out there are rookies. So this is the stuff that just it's like, what does it taste like? Is it good or is it bad? Buy it or don't buy it. It's not those deep.
I want to get one of those guys on because
The-
I want to figure out how you have 47 different things that you taste in one sip.
Oh man,
and
the
how
persimmon.
Yeah.
I want
It's just-
to know how many like bourbons or scotches that you relate to a old leather shoe. How many of those translate to sales? Like,
Have you ever
who
tasted
reads
a-
that? Who reads that and is like, oh, that's great. I love old leather shoes in my mouth,
Have you ever tasted a deer's hoof? This reminds me of a deer's hoof.
like a baby
Like
deer's
a
hoof.
baby deer's hoof.
There was one that we got that the description was grass clippings and old sneakers.
That
Oh,
sounds
Yeah.
bad.
Put me down for a
Sounds
case.
bad,
Yeah.
bad. But I don't know what to do. I think we should make it available, but it feels a little cold to do it as digital. Just be like, here, look at it.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to like do something like pretentious and like charge a bunch of money. How do you give it to somebody in a,
Well,
in a
look,
thing?
dude. So how many bourbons have we got on there?
Turn it into
You've probably got
35.
35.
tissue paper.
I mean, you've
wrap
got-
up your order with it.
By the time that thing's done, there's probably $5,000 worth of bourbon that's been drank. That's
Yeah.
we're saving people money.
Well, send
One way
us
of
some,
looking at it.
Send us some DMs.
So there's a
or
value there.
comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube and let us know. What would you like to see with the end of the year after we've done all of our reviews? Do you want it? Hey, tell us.
Does
Hey
anyone even
guys,
give a
we
shit?
don't give a shit. Stop talking about it
Yeah, we want to hear about cars. Or
Right.
somebody's gonna be like, you know what? I have to tell you what to do with it. Roll it up.
and
You know?
shove it up. Yeah. Stab a box with it.
Yeah.
This Roadster Shop Hall of Fame is brought to you by Stillhouse Whiskey. Stillhouse has 6 different spirits in their portfolio: original whiskey, black bourbon, apple crisp whiskey, classic vodka, peach tea whiskey, and spiced cherry whiskey. Stillhouse products are made in the USA, and the cans they come in are 100% stainless steel, so they chill quickly. I can attest to that.
And
Grab
it
a
is-
couple of those cans,
he's
throw them in the Yeti.
He's gonna talk some shit, but this weekend, lemonade, Stillhouse cherry bourbon, a little bit of agave, phenomenal drink.
You were doing that? I didn't have any.
No, you did not.
I
You
had none.
definitely didn't.
I didn't either.
I was gonna say that with fall rolling in, that apple bourbon, everybody get creative. Search
I thought you were hoping they were gonna
Search-
come out with a pumpkin.
I was-
spice.
search the
they are.
recipes.
Really?
I was going to let you know. Coming out with this pumpkin spice. Stillhouse whiskey.
Why does that relate to me? One fucking time. Once.
A week.
One time.
If you did it when we saw, there's
Yeah.
untold times when we haven't seen.
Countless times.
You didn't do it the first time.
It was
with
one
us
fucking time, dude.
that we saw.
I'm gonna.
Hand on the Bible right now. How many PSLs have you ever had? More than 3.
All right.
More than 3. Question.
Yes.
Yeah. More than 3, less than 10.
Were you wearing a chunky sweater and some tall boots?
No, that's Irvin. Irvin was. I think he gets them delivered. Starbucks is right across the street.
Yep.
When Irvin's got his cardigan, his long knit cardigan, and his Uggs on,
scarf and his Uggs.
I think that's enough. That's a venti. That's the big one with the 2 hands. And he just,
Oh,
yeah.
Just warms my soul. But to transition away from pumpkin spice lattes or pumpkin spice flavored anything.
Are they seriously coming out with a pumpkin spice flavored?
No, they should. They should. You can find Stillhouse whiskey at a store near you by going to stillhouse.com and using the store locator. That's STILLHOUSE.com. So, Roadster Shop Hall of Fame. We've talked about this. We prepared. This is something we actually do talk about prior to recording. Everything
I
else.
don't need to talk about it that much because I've been there for him.
Well, we try to select one that's good. We don't talk about like the builds or anything. But contrary to popular belief, we don't prepare for the rest of it at all. I know.
I think you do. The
I
comments I get, everybody thinks Josh just does a wonderful job.
Good grief.
It's the next Joe Rogan.
A lot of people are pissed that we went to video because we'll have to see your face, but the voice part you were fucking
I
on.
try to turn this way so they can't see my
Oh,
face.
dude, you have a fucking voice for radio like nobody I've ever heard.
Yep.
I mean,
That means that you don't like my face.
it's not a great face.
Yeah, like John
yeah.
Jackson, for example, great behind the camera. You don't see him doing a lot of work in front of the camera.
Valid point.
Wow. So, yeah.
Shots fired.
Valid point.
Shots fired at John Jackson.
It's also because he looks like a Yeti, and it's hard to capture a picture of Bigfoot in the wild.
He looks like Jesus.
Do you remember John Jackson years ago?
When he didn't have the beard?
When he didn't have the beard and he was pudgy before he lost all his weight? Yeah. Totally different John
It's amazing
Jackson.
what a beard will do. I remember when you shaved yours.
Yeah.
Don't
I remember when I shaved mine.
Do not do that again.
You first of all, you're not a good person.
Number
2,
is that the
number
most
2,
is that the most hurtful thing I've said to you?
100%.
Really?
Yes. You were more hateful.
Is that because it was
Have you shaved your beard since?
No.
No. I think he did you a phenomenal
The
justice.
problem was I know it wasn't for joke. It wasn't for laugh. You were
serious?
absolutely mean.
I mean,
You were mad that I shaved.
I tell it like I see it, dude. You always know where I stand.
Yep. Hey,
You know what? Don't do it again, and then you won't have to experience that.
don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. That is a scar.
And if it starts,
that it still hasn't healed.
if it starts thinning out, there's all sorts of procedures and stuff. You can hair plug it. You can take follicles out of your hair and put them in your beard.
Really?
Yeah, for guys with like patchy beards.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, Google it.
Why don't more people use it? That's
I think it's expensive.
Oh. Well,
I don't know how we got.
I don't know how we got
that.
there either. But we're on the Roadster Shop Hall of Fame. And who do we have, or what build do we have for this episode, and why? Tell us a little bit about it, and I'll start pulling some stuff up. Who wants to go?
This is one that I think really helped put us on the map at the beginning. This was probably in a little bit more of our subtle blend in, go under the radar phase.
Absolutely.
Opposed to the loud, in your face, get noticed.
Yeah.
So when we were coming out with our Chevelle chassis, we went ahead and built a second shop vehicle after the first one. Kind of take it up a notch. We did a 1970 Chevelle. Started out as a cool kind of gasser that we found at a Good Guy show. Thought it was a super solid car. Ended up with a little bit of rust. We ended up quarter.
These are some old pictures.
Yeah, they're small.
Yeah, I know. I'm working with what I got.
That was back when Good Guys had the show right here in Joliet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that where y'all got it?
Yeah, we
Dude,
found it in the swap meet.
And in hindsight, that was such a bitchin' car that we never should have messed with.
Yeah.
It was like faded blue original paint, and somebody put a solid axle in the front of it.
Really?
With some
Yeah.
Mickey Thompson rear tires.
Hole in the hood
And
for a big
Dude,
fucking
it
lower to
sat
come through.
perfect, looked perfect. all it needed was like a big block and a turbo 400,
Oh,
and
damn.
you're off to the races. But
We were in a pro touring phase.
whoa,
You can see it was a much
look
younger
at that,
era.
There's a young Jeremy.
yeah.
So yeah, again, a little bit of a statement piece. We talked about several times. You needed a business card when you're getting started, and young Jeremy here and a couple other guys in the shop kind of went at it to build some really cool, unique, different stuff. Right as the pro touring market was emerging, so you
Yeah.
run with some of your handiwork.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of that stuff. This is a little bit like, this is pre-social media. This was one of those, the fabrication, the quality, the guys that were on board. It was high quality stuff, but we got it done. This was something that was rocked out. I think this project was like 2 months, something just crazy, start to finish.
Wow.
And
Subtle color combo, like I said.
Very subtle.
yeah,
Blend in under the radar.
yeah, we looked. You know, yeah, I feel like this is a good example of when you can't afford a supercar, the best thing you can possibly do is build something to like emulate that supercar
And paint it like it.
that costs more money than
Yeah.
said supercar.
By the time you're done.
So this was right about the time the GT3s were coming out,
GT3
and
RS.
that was this. They had that signal green, and you'd see a handful of them, and you'd see them here and there, but the color was just so striking, and we were super into those solid tones in that kind of era. And why not, right? It's a race car. It's something we were doing for ourselves. So threw a wild ass paint job on it, and had a ton of fun with it. It was something that we banged out some pretty cool fabrication on in a short period of time. Did some rocker moldings. The whole dash was all fabbed out of aluminum. Um,
Looks like Dustin from Classic Cars Restorations
it
of
might be.
Indiana is having a
So the
ride.
the front bumper, the lower chin spoiler, the whole front of the car, scratch built. Hand built,
Yep.
and
Twice. Mind
Yeah.
you.
two times, because you'd be shocked at what a fence post will do.
No, I think most people could figure out what a fence post would do. at
Yeah, I think when they
speed.
post it all over the internet, you know
Yeah.
exactly what a fence post will do. So Phil drove the wheels off this car. Yeah, here's some pictures of it at the Super Chevy Challenge. We built it to go out and be competitive with the Optima stuff, the Good Guys Autocross, and Phil kicked some serious ass. And when you're that competitive and you're pushing through the finish line for every last tenth,
Sometimes you run harder than the runoff area might be.
What happens then?
Then you go through a chain link fence.
and Phil hit a
Three-quarters
Podu.
three-quarters of the way through the car.
Phil hit a Podu.
And yeah, it's Good Guys event down there in Texas way back in the day. Set the fastest lap time, ran out of stopping area, and kind of put it 14 feet through a chain link fence on a
And it's almost,
16-foot long car.
I think you caught that pretty well dead center.
Yeah, I teed it up and just leveled the pole right off there, just kind of a hair off the crown of the bumper. Um, yeah, backed it out and kind of changed the contours of the bumper a little
You
bit.
still got that grill in your office.
I
don't
do.
you?
It's hanging on my wall. Yep.
That was a fun car. No, it was. I mean, what era? You think, what year do we put that together?
It had to be 2009.
I was gonna say 9 because that was you had that at Optima the year that
No, it was earlier because we had it before the vet. That was done
Yeah, we
before
did.
the Corvette. It had to be 2007, 2008.
Yeah, it was one of our first pair of Forge line wheels, I think.
Yeah,
on
that was the one where
car.
we met Forge Line.
Yep.
Um, we had the car. We were building it specifically for the Super Chevy Shootout, and we showed up with no interior because we couldn't get the interior done. And we had a set of wheels on order from some bozos, I guess we'll call them, that couldn't get the wheels for. No, they built the wheels and they missed the backspace by like 5 inches.
It was
Remember?
a lot of
so
stories.
just
I
by a
remember.
little.
Yeah, like it wouldn't even come close to fitting on the car. We got stuck with the wheels. They shipped them, um, and they were display wheels for like 4 or 5 years because at that time that was like a $7,000 set of wheels. That like, what else are you gonna do with them? And yeah, the response was, "Yeah, sorry, we missed." No, we gave you the backspace, and you guys just flat out missed. So yeah, here we were 3-4 weeks before the Super Chevy Shootout, which, again, this was our business card. You had to get there. This was going to put us on the map. And Jerry reached out to the guys at Forge Line, and we'd never worked with them. We weren't anything at the time. And I said, "You need a set of wheels in a hurry. We need like 3 weeks." And I think the comment, he talked to Steve, and he's like, "Yeah, no problem." And then we just sweat bullets like the next 2 weeks. Like, did you check with him? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Dude, he said no problem. Yeah, like everybody in this industry says no problem, but
That's one of those things that you just simply can't drive the car without,
yeah,
Interior, fine. All right. Yeah.
no windshield
Get
wipers.
around it.
You can
Fine.
hide a few things and get it show ready. You can't fake wheels.
Yep.
Can't make them out of butyl tape.
No,
No.
you can't.
But yeah, Forge Line delivered. Got him in time, got the car to the event, kicked some ass out there, and have had a phenomenal relationship with the Forge Line guys ever since. Used a shit ton of their wheels.
Yeah, the car opened up a lot of windows for us. That was the first car we put some Penske shocks on. It had some triple adjustable remote can shocks on it. Learned an awful lot. Fuel safe cell. That was the first car that, we came off of that 66 that we were doing a lot of autocross and road race stuff.
Carbureted big block.
Carbureted big block with
Perfect.
yeah.
I'm telling you, if you build an autocross car,
Learned
or
a
road race
learned a
car,
tremendous amount about inertia, G forces, and what
where
happens
fluids want to go.
with what happens
Yep.
with fuel systems.
That was your Bill Mitchell 540 right there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Hardcore?
Hardcore
Oh,
540.
shit.
So yeah, this was, an instrumental car in taking us to the next level of performance and tremendous amount of fun. That was the first car that where we got to the point where you could really start using something on the street as well. I took that car and drove it down to Kentucky and back, interesting story. I'm just gonna go off on a tangent here. Drove it down to my sister-in-law's house in Kentucky, down to their lake house. That would have been 2010 because we had just found out that was when I found out that my wife was pregnant with Wyatt.
Oh, wow.
And I guess what I was getting at, I was driving it home, doing 150 down. What's the south of 65?
Right
You're
there in
going
Mexico.
through.
You left Kentucky,
Yeah,
went through
you're going-
Mexico.
yeah. This is
Mexico's
statute of
Highway
limitations.
64.
This
in
is way
Mexico.
back when, but yeah, that was like an introduction to the speed that you can have a car like that that's
when things are
so
done right.
so civilized and so easy to drive that you can just let the fucker rip. Awesome car.
Car
Ton of
definitely-
miles on it. And
Definitely made a statement out there in the industry for sure.
we love the green. Signal green was awesome. It was in your face, but we're also smart enough to know that if you're going to sell a car at Barrett Jackson in that era,
Not a wide pool of buyers.
Yeah. so we repainted it
Green
black.
is the color of money, but it doesn't mean they paid
Right.
that money for the car.
Redid the car in
You.
some very likable, universally accepted colors. So like a charcoal stripe with a red outline, all jet black, and car went through. Ben did a great job. And it was all done, kind of like refreshed the whole car after it spent a lot of time on the race course. Sent it through Barrett Jackson in probably 2010, 2011.
There's really,
Yeah, somewhere
really
around
only
there.
two colors: resale red or buy me black.
Yeah.
And that's
And car did pretty good, and it pops up here and there. I think somebody's
Yeah,
got it. and-
Baseball player bought it, and I think Classic Car Studio guys had it.
It looks
right?
like it's a lot of things been redone on it, refreshed. Cool
Yeah,
car, still
awesome
out
car,
there.
a lot of
definitely
history.
definitely instrumental and pivotal in the
The come
direction
up.
of the company for sure. That was a good one. I really
I'm
like
glad that you liked that.
I did enjoy it. You don't have to be a fucking dickhead about it. I was being nice.
He's coming across the table there.
Yeah, you need to settle. You need to settle down tonight. All right. Point taken.
Thanks everybody for listening to the Oil and Whiskey with the Roadster Shop, an Ironclad original. If you like the show, be sure to leave us a rating and a review. If you don't like the show,
Just don't listen to it.
don't listen, and then don't worry about leaving us a rating. Thanks again to our guest, RJ Vera. We'll see you again next week.